problem, I think, for the left on matters like gender is that we're still so enmeshed in this battle against the right. And we should be thinking ahead, as with every other issue, right? With immigration, with economics, with inequality, we should be thinking with what is it that we want beyond what the right demands from us. So what would be a left discourse on gender? We don't really have that in place. What we have in place are numerous interviews with Judith Butler. And we read that, and we read these interviews in the New York Magazine and so on. And then we assume that, yes, we're very hip. We know exactly how constructed gender is. But that's not even, that's what is really the point.
It feels like that is a trap, right? That the right sitting there being like, well, what is a woman, and you better define it. It seems like
exactly that's the trap.
Jumping in on their sort of like landscape, right? Which is very easy for them to win, because we are bumbling academics who are like, well, gender is actually a construct, and there are 15 different things you need to consider before we can define gender. And they're like, no, there are men and there are women, and I know what that is. And that resonates with, I think, dumb people, and there are a lot of them. It works, it's really, really powerful because it's connected to sex, and it's connected to stuff that goes beyond the sort of liberal academic intellectualizing of it, if that makes sense. It's too abstract for people.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the additional problem there is that we could mock the right all the time, a lot, for being, incredibly stupid and reductive and so on. But at the same time, it's the right that's winning.
Yeah.
I mean, now, is it in Oklahoma now that any person on a sports team can be physically interrogated on
insane,
gender?
right?
I know this is at the level of the body, quite literally, as it is with abortion. So I think what's interesting then to me is, where has this period of time where we seemed to be interrogating gender and its constructedness, how did that vanish to the point, or did it ever really exist, right? How did we come from, let's say, 1992, I believe, was Judith Butler's Gender Trouble. I was in grad school at the time. I'm like a queer theory baby, right? So that's 1992. How did we now end up in a time and place where these horrific pieces of legislation are making their way around the country? And I think that's a profound question that the left needs to grapple with, which is to say, and the same is true of abortion. How did we had this discussion about abortion, I think the first or second episode, which is to say, how did we end up here when we, especially on the left and some of our silos, thought, that's nonsensical. That could never happen in America, blah, blah, blah. But it has happened. And what that tells us is that in the interim period of about 30 or 40 years, we have chosen to not see the reality of this just juggernaut of, honestly, gender fascism, for lack of a better word.